write little records.
Uh-huh.
Cheers, man.
Cheers.
It's good to have you back.
Yeah,
Holy
man.
shit, it's
New
been a
year,
minute.
New podcast episode with Nick.
Whew.
I thought I dressed
that.
appropriately. You usually have the hat.
I like it. I didn't wear a hat for you. I was like, you know what? I'll rock the gelled look. We can pull it out.
Next time, I'll go without again.
Okay.
And then you'll probably go with.
Okay. We'll
just
keep
go back
swapping
and
back and forth. I like that.
Love it. So how you been, man?
I've been good, man. Living in the world of craziness.
Yeah? Crazy enough, man. We're a little shielded up here, but
Thank God.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, thankfully we're in Humboldt because things are getting wild out there.
The rest of the world's starting to go sideways.
Yeah, man. It's these times we really appreciate the rural, over
Yes.
the city and the craziness of democracies falling apart. And
It kind of feels like that, right?
yeah, definitely.
I was kind of freaking out. With all this Russian-Ukraine stuff, it seems like the world's kind of on a hair trigger right now.
Yeah, man.
I was like,
I mean, everybody's kind of looking back and they're like, gosh, they got their popcorn out, but like, you don't want to, look at this as entertainment. It's really serious what's happening right now. It's, if we're looking at this little democracy fall apart, what's going to happen to bigger democracies? So
that's the thing, right? Is all of this is playing out on the world stage. And here we are in the beautiful North Coast.
Yeah. It's like that meme that was going around. It's like, wow, as we sit here getting ready in the morning, with our struggles of having to deal with like daylight savings time turning over, it's like people are really, really going through tragedies right now and traumas right now. And it's important to keep that perspective in your life, but also it's like, wow, what can we do? How can we help? A lot of people are like heading over to Poland to hand out gear and stuff. And
I've been hearing about that.
yeah, it's nice.
And did you hear that there were some bulletproof vests that were stolen in New York that were bound for Ukraine?
Really?
Did you hear about
Oh,
that?
no, I didn't hear about
like
that.
140 or something they were donating?
Oh my gosh.
Somebody swiped them.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, it was just like the pandemic. If there's any sort of tragedy going around, people are like, how can I profit off of that?
Human nature.
Yeah, really, unfortunately.
The dark side of human nature.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, definitely. On the other side, there's always people looking out to help. It's like you have lots of guests on that are looking to help. I saw that you had what is it? Homegrown, the person from Homegrown. Yeah. That's a really wonderful organization here. It's like helping people out.
I'm trying to blank on her name. I was trying to.
Oh, yeah. Me too,
yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But, hey, anybody that is on their podcast app right now listening to Growing Pains with Nicholas Flores, go to the episode earlier, and there she is. And, I mean, helping out foster youth that age out. She was telling me that 20% of foster youth that age out end up homeless. And, it's like, it's people like that, getting their message out. We're doing our little part in our little communities to try and, share and make the world a better place. So, it's nice to have that juxtaposition of like, what's all this craziness going on in the world? There's still people out there that care.
That are doing good.
Yeah.
Yeah. You talk to somebody like that and you're like, damn, I need to start doing something more.
Yeah. Well, you're doing your thing. You know what I mean? Because you're talking to these people, you're getting the message out.
I'm over here drinking a beer, doing a podcast, talking to you. I mean, this is hardly
this is
hardly
a good
work.
Saturday, man.
Yeah.
Cheers to that, though. I mean, how was your Friday night?
Good. I've been just editing like crazy. This is my whole world now. I just go to work, go to the gym, and do the podcast.
Really?
Yeah.
So like you didn't go out and do anything?
I keep it so low key.
Yeah.
My life is just, I try to keep it under the radar. This is my big outreach.
Yeah.
Is through this.
Okay. So why is that? Do you think because I mean, talking to you before, you seem like you're kind of like post-college guy, lots of chilling with friends. Yeah.
I just don't. I'm not a big drama guy.
Yeah.
And somehow you always get sucked into drama once you start putting yourself out there more,
I hear that.
So I kind of keep my circle tight. I'm friendly with everybody. I love talking with everyone, but I try to keep my life as low stress as possible. That's been my MO for the past few months.
Preach, man. I mean, that's I'm a dad though.
It's like, you've got a built-in excuse. Oh, I gotta go home to the kids.
Yeah, my Friday night was watching Josie and the Pussycats with my daughter. And my girlfriend. So like, I mean, shoot. But then we watched this movie after Audrey went to bed. Host.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Have you seen that?
Netflix?
I don't know if it's on Netflix. I think I might have gotten it by means that are not
Okay.
necessarily.
Yeah, we don't have to throw anything out there.
Sometimes you got to just stream movies however you can get them, right?
You got to do what you got to do.
I mean, especially if Netflix keeps bringing up the prices. So
Listen, you're talking to a college kid. That was my whole career. Was just pulling movies wherever I could get them.
You see, they're gonna start to like charge for password sharing.
I did hear about that. I don't know what the cost is gonna be.
Yeah, I mean, it's
they're gonna charge you like another
nickel and
account?
dime you every chance that they can get.
Come
right?
on, they're raking in so much cash.
Yeah, I mean, we're all over the place right now, but it's like just this nickel and diming that I'm seeing, especially whenever it comes to, goods went up during the pandemic.
Inflation.
Yeah, inflation. I mean, everything was just nuts. But then you see profit margins also increase.
And wages not.
Yeah, but it's like these CEOs are just sitting around. They're like, oh, people will understand if we raise prices. And you know what? We can raise them a lot higher than we have to, not to make up for the additional costs that we have to pay. And nobody will notice. But people are noticing, man. People are noticing these companies, these Fortune 500, S&P 500 companies that are starting to boost their profit margins. And I think people should like seriously take a look at every single thing that they buy and realize, like, I mean, are you supporting these people that are profiting off of pain, like we were just talking about? Like, I'm not going to do. Anyway, I digress. But I was talking about Host. Dude, it was this awesome, scary movie made during the pandemic. So it was all on Zoom.
Oh, wow.
And so, these girls get together and then one guy, and they're all doing like this Zoom session. And they're all talking kind of like a podcast, and then they have a medium come in and try to awaken a spirit, like a Ouija board spirit or something. And, and one of them doesn't take it seriously, and then everything goes awry. But it was perfect. It was like this 1 hour movie, and then sitting there, like looking at it, is like, you can do so much whenever your life changes a lot. This pandemic happened, and it's like, we were talking about adapting the last time we chatted, and just seeing the way that people can adapt, and seeing the way that people can come up with new ways to move forward whenever we're dealt with pain and tragedy and despair and scariness, and just, it's amazing to see. So yeah, I don't know, I recommend checking that out. But it was good.
I'll have to look into it. I haven't seen a Zoom movie before.
Yeah, it was an interesting idea. Find out how you can use what you've got to do the best you can,
make something happen.
Yeah.
That is the good side of humanity, right? Is our adaptability. And I think you kind of see that with Ukraine, is all these people fighting to defend their homeland, and the support and everybody rallying around each other. Yeah. And you also see it in films like that, where okay, we can't film like we normally would, so how are we going to make this happen and keep producing and keep making content and doing what we like?
Yeah. How do you think Zelensky's doing?
I don't know. I think he's a good guy. I think he really has risen to the occasion. His calls for the MiG fighter jets and for all of that, it kind of worries me a little bit, because that seems escalatory.
It does, yeah.
I am not well enough versed in world politics, but I think whatever we can do to not add fuel to the fire is very important.
Yeah, it's like these hot button keywords that come up, and it's like air pilots or air jets or whatever, and it's no-fly zone.
The no-fly zone should worry everybody.
Yes.
Because that is a big step. And yet senators are calling for it, and sit there
it's
and
not
think,
the time.
Yeah.
It's like we just finished with one worldwide phenomenon where millions of people died. Let's not move on to another one.
Yeah, we don't need a war right now. No. Nobody does.
No.
And to go at it with Russia especially is alarming.
The amount of nukes they have.
It's not a joke.
Crazy.
It's not a joke.
It's like the amount of nukes they have is equal with NATO. It's just crazy for one country.
I don't know how we back out of this situation. I don't know where this goes. I don't know if anybody really does, right?
Well, I mean, Putin's doing horrible things for his image in the worldwide standing.
And yet he keeps going down. Do you feel like he is backing himself into a corner with these choices to where it has to escalate?
Well, he has to come up with a way to get out of this situation without, losing more face, I think. But again, I'm not an expert on these, geopolitical issues. But looking at him, it just as a information guy, you know, as a public information guy, as somebody that shares information with the public, and somebody that, you know, tries to help an organization with their forward face. He's not really showing um, the upsides of Russia, and he's not really showing the upsides of his regime. You know what I mean?
Not to us.
Not to, I mean, yeah, and there's people in Russia that believe the propaganda. Like, I was just watching a video of somebody channel surfing in Russia, and it's like literally every single station is forced to play his speech. You know, it's a little scary.
Very scary.
Yeah.
That is the consequence that people have been talking about for a long time of censorship. Is that's where it can lead. Is you get this ultimate power and give it to one person, and they decide this is the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what we're going to repeat, and this is what we're going to cram down everybody's throat. And that shit is scary.
Yeah, yeah. And at the same time, you know, he's one of those same propagators of fake news.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
He was saying it was a Nazi cleansing. That's why they went into Ukraine. That was one of the reasons he was spouting for a little while was, oh, we have to go take out the Nazis.
Yeah, yeah. And really, his supporters in Russia do believe that that's what's going on, is that they need to go into Ukraine and destroy these neo-Nazis, and that, you know, Ukrainians are provoking them and committing acts of war crimes, you know, and it's really, it's amazing seeing what these people are being spoon-fed and believing. But it also, you know, encourages you to look at things a little closer and a little deeper at home. Kind of interesting. It's like, we have one of our local news organizations, Lost Coast Outpost, and they do a really good job whenever they have reporters cover stuff in depth. Like, I mean, Izzy's...
Yeah, I heard that she went over there. Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that
good
wonderful?
For her. That's awesome.
I'm pumped for her. Yeah, I just mentioned her because, I mean, that's basically how we ended up meeting.
Yeah.
But
shout out to Isabella.
Yeah, shout out to Izzy. And I think Loco does a really good job. But, you know, the reason that they became so successful was because they started taking press releases and just releasing them immediately, you know, and this was at a time when the internet was changing so quickly that people had access to information so quickly that people's, you know, attention spans were a little bit lower, and starting to get lower and continuing to get lower now, obviously.
Unfortunately.
So you just take what any organization wants to say and you just plaster it up there immediately. You know, and people get the satisfaction of seeing that information right away, seeing that headline right away. But before, when it was, you know, newspapers and radio stations and stuff, you had these reporters that, you know, not necessarily were gatekeeping, but they were educated gatekeepers of that information, and trying to make sure that, you know, what's in this press release, is this correct? You know, can we verify this? Can we talk to some sources that can verify what's in this? You know, and really just taking that out of the equation whenever Russian TV is just literally playing what the government wants to say and nothing else, unless there's someone at the TV station that wants to get on screen and hold up a sign. You know, it's problematic.
Do you think that this will lead us back into the realm of gatekeepers, particularly in a news setting?
I was just listening to a really interesting interview. I don't know what her name was, but she was on Real Time.
Turn off our heater here because we're cranking.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I'm going to take off my jacket, too.
And I asked that because I am generally opposed to gatekeepers. I think that the court of public opinion, I guess, to some extent, or more so, just the realm of good content and honest content should prevail.
But, I mean, think about Russia right now.
That's the problem,
we
right?
Need gatekeepers.
That's the problem.
Yeah, because whenever your source is not trustable, you know, that's why those people existed. But yeah, somebody was talking about, hey, you know, journalists used to be these like blue collar people that would go and hit the streets, and they would tell the story from the perspective of the regular everyday man and woman. You know, and then slowly in the 80s, it shifted over, and people that went to journalism school were like kind of like Ivy League college educated, you know, like highbrow people that look down on you, you know, and really that needs to change too. I think that if you do have an education as a journalist, you need to keep yourself in check and be very 100% uh, in tune with the fact that maybe you have a predisposition to boost the upper middle class and the higher class. So we all have to look at this as a lens of like through the lens of, hey, who am I? Where is my standing? And then where's the world right now? And I think right now, I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat, you want to see the lower class rise and do better. You want to see the lower middle class do better. And I think that's what our politics all boils down to at this point. It's not about, some of the virtue signaling stuff that I'm seeing lately, or some of the woke stuff, or, conversely, some of the anti-environmentalist stuff. You know what I mean? There's like all kinds of weird signaling that you're seeing, all these weird symbols that you're seeing out there. But I think when it all comes down to like, hey, if you actually put these people all in a room together and they break bread together and they have dinner, like they mostly just care about, I want my PG&E bill to be like lower, and I want to eat good food, and I want to support local mom and pops, and like I want to watch a good movie, and I want to laugh, and really these are the things that we should be focusing on right now, is like not Republican, not Democrat, because both parties are just so far gone and it's been so polarized. Like we need to start thinking about, well, do these people really just want to bring communities up, and help them rise up? So yeah, and I don't think that that's what the oligarchs over in Russia want right now.
I think that's a fair assumption.
Yeah,
I think we could say that confidently.
They want their yachts, and they want their they want more taxpayers. They want those Ukrainians to start paying in to the oligarch lifestyle.
Do you think that having a gatekeeper would help in that situation? Because Russia's unique in that Putin essentially is the gatekeeper.
That's why we're in America, man. That's why this country was founded, is because we believed in the freedom of speech and freedom of expression. And the First Amendment, that's why it's number one, is we have the ability to be critical of those in power. And speaking in terms through the lens of a journalist, that's why I got into that profession. Is like I wanted to be able to like hold people accountable, and when you can't do that in a country that's supposedly a democracy, that's a huge problem. I mean, have you seen the election numbers from Putin?
No, I haven't.
You have a guy like that where there's constantly people protesting against his regime. You see it everywhere. I mean, there's people holding signs in Russia. They're not happy with the way that he's going about life. And they're not happy with the way that he's running that country. Yet he's winning elections by like 80%. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but it's just like insane. You don't see anybody winning elections democratically with numbers that he gets. And it's because those elections are not elections. It's a fake democracy. Anybody that's critical of him, any journalist that's critical of him, they just disappear.
Well, that's the thing. It's fear, right? I read an article about a model who was talking shit about him, saying all this stuff, and they found her in a suitcase.
Yeah. Yeah, and
that's what happens out there.
Yeah.
If you have a dissenting opinion from his opinion,
mm-hmm.
Well, you should keep that to yourself because it's not going to end well.
No. And yeah, I mean, look at what those, they're at the space station, the Russian astronauts recently did, is they were seen on video wearing blue and yellow. Did you see that?
I did not.
Yeah.
I heard that they were launching or something.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't know they were in blue and yellow.
Yeah. So there's a Russian space station or whatever, and they were seen. I don't even know why they were on camera. They always do these like sort of PR things or like interview things, whatever. And they were dressed up in blue and yellow, and it's like it makes you think, well, maybe do they want to like return to the United States whenever they come back from space? Because
be safer.
Yeah, because they don't want to end up in a suitcase either.
what really worries me is how do you change that with a guy like that? What can you do? And especially where he's kind of buddying up with China now. And that's the same thing with China, right? I think
Yeah.
we can acknowledge that is
Yeah.
democratic elections aren't really a thing.
Well, I mean, we have the comfort of being able to say what's on our mind, and we also, have the ability to offer a caveat that we are not, geopolitical political scientists. But I
Luckily.
think that I think that assassination is in order, personally. Or something like that. He needs
You think
to
somebody
be
needs
removed.
to take him out?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's how things can get better over there. I'm not saying it's what's gonna happen.
That is so great. Imagine this is how crazy the world is over here, especially. We can say that talking about another foreign leader, and you could even say that about Joe Biden. I wouldn't recommend that, but you might have some people come to your house and say, hey, we're going to talk about this podcast episode where you said, hey, we need to take out Joe.
Oh boy.
But nobody's going to kill you. You're going to be able to go to work Monday morning and your life's going to move on. You might have some more eyes on you, but, or even let's go Brandon. You can say that and there aren't really any repercussions. But if you said that in Russia.
Yeah.
Adios.
Yeah, definitely. And it's kind of weird, like hearing Putin and Biden compared in the same sentence because they're very different people who believe in very different things. I mean, sure, there's definitely people that are calling for assassinations in like literally every country in the world. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would go that far. I mean, have you ever been that angry at a president that you'd hope that they would be assassinated?
No, I don't think, no.
At a USA president?
No. I've never thought anybody should be assassinated.
Hitler?
Okay, fair. That's a fair point.
Stalin?
Hitler, yeah, okay. I think the difference is that's one of the things people like to throw around is a comparison between Hitler and Putin. I've seen that a lot, especially right now, but I don't.
Fair.
Is it though?
It is.
I mean, Hitler killed a lot of people.
So is Putin.
Yeah, but not on the same. I think in his lifetime, I don't think he's killed 6 million people.
Yeah.
But I think where he has been a part of the KGB and he clearly is not afraid of poisoning people and doing what he has to do to maintain power, I bet he's killed a lot of people.
Oh, sure. Yeah, and the difference between the two is like he doesn't have a long-standing history of writing and putting out sort of propaganda about how one race is better than the other. At least as far as I don't understand it. Again, caveat, I'm not a political scientist.
Yeah, we're just talking shit. Come on.
Yeah.
I think my hesitation comes from the fact there's no justification for what Hitler did. You can't even try to play devil's advocate with that.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of can to some extent with what's happening in Ukraine. And this is coming from somebody who's completely uneducated. So if I'm way off base, just roll your eyes at me and I'll be like, all right, we're gonna rethink that.
No, spit it.
I get some of the sentiment from Putin's view where, hey, we don't want NATO taking up Ukraine. We don't want, Western weapons in Ukraine right on our border.
But why? Why does he not want NATO to bring in Ukraine?
Well, we wouldn't want Russia doing anything with Mexico or with Canada or Cuba. I mean, that was a long-standing problem.
Yeah.
I think he's going about it the wrong way. You can't just invade a foreign country like that.
He already did.
I know. That's the problem.
I mean, he did it to Georgia. He did it to Crimea.
Yeah.
And
now he's got the DNR right there that they're trying to fight for.
And it's escalating because, he's like, okay, well, let's start with small potatoes and move up to the entire potato farm eventually until it's the USSR again.
Do you think that's the plan it's not just about Ukraine, it's the whole thing?
Oh, heck yeah. I mean, shoot, he's done with Ukraine. Like, what are we, in 10 years, are we talking about Poland? Or, when does it stop? Because it hasn't at this point, there's if you do see a trend, it's like there's Georgia and then there's Crimea and then now there's Ukraine. he's an escalating guy, and he did do that smartly because he did it with so many years in between, and really it's like it's crazy what he's been able to accomplish
Well, when you're in
without
power
any
like that,
repercussions.
when you're in power like that, you can play. That's one of the threatening things about China is they're not playing in 4-year terms. They're playing in decades. They're
Yeah.
playing the long game
Yeah.
of we just have to wait them out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what Russia can do. I mean, Putin's been president since the 90s.
Is it late 90s?
I
Yeah,
think late 90s.
Could be. Yeah, we could probably verify. Hold on.
But still, what else are you going to do with all that time? You're going to think a plan up and you're going to execute it over however many years or decades it takes.
Okay. How long has Putin?
Say like 97.
Oh no, 2012 to president.
Really?
To president, yeah. Dmitry, I'm going to destroy his name. Medvedev, from 2008 to 2012. Oh, but Putin was president from 2000 to 2008. So there was a break. And then before that it was Boris Yeltsin.
Oh.
1991 and 1999.
Okay, I'm full of shit. I did not know that.
Yeah. Interesting.
So he took a break and then said, "No, I gotta start running this ship again.
Right.
I gotta go back to the top."
Okay. Yeah, some may argue that we probably should have known that before even launching this conversation.
Well, that's all part of the fun.
Yeah.
So, if it is, that's the problem. If it doesn't stop at Ukraine, then my argument's mute because it's not just about protecting a border. It's about rebuilding the Russian brand and the Soviet Union and restoring it to its former glory. If that's the ultimate plan, that's a problem. That's a real problem.
And you got to look at let's stop looking at this from a macro perspective and just start looking at the psychology of it. How are people like Stalin and Hitler inspired? And I think if you look at it closely, it's like there's a lot of psychological things going on. Like Hitler was just like, no, you're not going to be an artist, and he just got all pissed off and messed up in his head. You know what I mean?
That's what happens if you don't chase your dreams.
Yeah.
You gotta follow your heart, man.
And really, it's like I think Putin just has a little man complex, and he's also deep down he's probably corrupted by greed, by money, by oligarchs, and and by power, and that we've seen how that doesn't stop. Check Breaking Bad. I mean, look at the evolution of Walter White from, high school math teacher to, or high school science teacher to the kingpin that he was at the end. I think that's pretty interesting to see, just the psychology 101 of it all. But
well, then, do you think we can stop Russia from taking Ukraine if they really want it? If Putin's not going to give up? Because what's the next step?
I think we need to hurt him, and I think we're doing so. I don't think sanctions are necessarily going to make Putin turn around and be like, okay, I'm done. I'm out of here.
Do you think the sanctions are a good call?
Absolutely. You got to make him hurt. You know what I mean? It's like, think of being bullied as a kid or whatever, and there's clearly this guy's bullying you and he's bigger than you. Well, he's going to keep bullying you unless you freaking fight back. You know what I mean? You don't have to win, but you have to make him hurt.
Do you think that we're hurting the Russian people too much, though? Because it doesn't seem like a lot of Russians are on his side, right?
Uh-huh.
I don't know what percentage that would be.
I would encourage everybody listening to this, if there's anything in your mind that makes you hate Russian people right now, look closer at the problem. It is not the Russian people that we are mad at right now. It is the people that are making decisions in Russia. It's the top. The Russian people, I don't think they want this.
I don't think so. I don't think so at all. But what say do they have?
Yeah.
And my fear is that, because these sanctions are a lot, and taking them off of the SWIFT banking and, effectively trying to collapse our economy is a lot, and it's going to hurt the people. And I worry that reinforces their faith with Putin, and they get a, fuck the West attitude, we're going to dig in deeper instead of turning on him.
Or they say, wow, this never even had to happen. You know what I mean? Like every single person that has died, Russian, Ukrainian, every single person that has died so far, they didn't have to. None of the death had to happen. So whenever you're paying more at the grocery store and at the gas pump, it's like maybe you're thinking this didn't have to happen either. So I think that's part of it too, is like, hey, you know, maybe people are thinking about it that way. You know, it's like whenever we see prices change here at home at the gas pump, even before all this started happening, I would hope that people would say, hey, maybe the president doesn't have a little like gauge in the Oval Office that goes from like low to high for gas prices. That, you know, there's a lot of things going on that impact gas prices. It's not just the president that's deciding how much to charge the citizens, because if that was the case, gas would always be hella cheap so that they would get elected every single time. You know, that's not what they want. It's a really complicated issue, and I would hope that like Russians would also say, okay, I'm paying for more. Maybe there's more going on here than just war. Maybe, oh wow, maybe our country isn't doing the right thing. You know,
you would hope so.
Yeah,
that's putting a lot of faith in people's ability to see the full picture.
Yeah. You'd, and really, if they're drinking the propaganda juice, you know, there's only so much you can do. It's pretty interesting though. You look at the demographics of the people that believe the propaganda over there in Russia, and it seems to be the older generation.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah, older, white, male generation.
Wasn't everybody in Russia white? Do they have a pretty mixed population?
I don't know. I mean, shoot, you don't have a drink called the Black Russian, do you? That
I mean,
I don't know. But it's like I think there's definitely Black Russians. I don't know. I mean, same over here. It's like it just depends on where you go.
Mm.
Yeah, but yeah. I mean, this is a strange time, and then it's weird, like pulling back and like looking at all the devastation that's happening right now, and like the possibility of World War III and the high prices and inflation and gas prices and everything, and then. And it's like, oh, we actually have other issues that are going on at home that we also need to be focused on.
Real issues, infrastructure, these bridges that are collapsing all over the place.
Yeah.
The roads.
Yeah.
I mean, especially up here, are just ridiculous.
That infrastructure bill is probably going to help that we passed last year.
I hope so. They say it's not enough, though, right?
Right, yeah. Well, it's like people try to make it, it's like the art of the deal, man. It's like, oh, do I need 10? Well, I'm going to say that I want 20 so that whenever we negotiate, I at least get my 10, you know? So hopefully it's enough, but we're starting to see some benefits. That's for damn sure. But yeah, I mean, building our country back is really important right now. And really getting back to normal is important right now. Are you starting to do more things?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think COVID's pretty much over up here. I haven't even really heard anybody talk about it anymore.
Yeah.
Since the Ukraine thing popped off.
Yeah.
COVID kind of just fell onto the back burner.
Yeah. Well, and arguably at St. Joe's, they'd probably be like, shut your mouth.
They'd be like,
smack us right now. Because, yeah, I mean, they're still seeing like people go in there and on ventilators and dying and stuff. And
are there? I don't even know what case counts are up here anymore.
Yeah. I mean, because they started doing the numbers last, right? But yeah, I mean, I think
well, they've got their next news cycle now.
Up to 150 or nearing 150 deaths, which, you know, it's like anybody wants to say that COVID was like the flu. Well, you look at flu deaths over the years in Humboldt County, and I think like 2 has been a big year for us, you know. So this thing was real, and it's still happening, and unfortunately people are still dying from it. It sucks. But I just saw a headline that like we may have another spike in cases, you know, and it's not fun. Nobody wants that to happen. But yeah, you know, hopefully people are taking precautions, whatever they think is a comfy precaution that they want to take, they should. You know what I mean? We got to prepare for everything, right? You know, we don't go to play a football game without a helmet on. And
those helmets don't even really help. That's the crazy part.
A little.
Those you get the traumatic brain injury. What is that?
CTE.
CTE. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, which is a crazy thing. I'm so glad I never played football.
I got to ask Alex Kappa about that. You heard of this name?
Wait, he went to HSU?
Yeah.
Okay.
Went to Humboldt State University, was a
He's
lumberjack.
playing for the Bengals?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw your episode on that.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
that's how I was trying to rack my brain. I was like, you talking about?
Yeah.
Where did I hear that? Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's just this like total, he grew up in the Bay Area, came up to go to HSU, really hit the lumberjack iron hard whenever he went to play football at HSU, and became this monster of an offensive lineman in the NFL. Gets to play with Tom Brady, won a Super Bowl with them, and then goes on to sign with the Bengals this year. $40 million 4-year contract. I mean, gosh, he's making $10 million
How crazy is
a year.
that?
We thought his rookie contract, like, we were like, wow, he's a millionaire now, but oh my gosh, he's a multi-millionaire.
$40 million.
But when I got to talk to him when he was going to HSU, and I asked him a few questions, and like, I hit him with like the hard questions. Like, it was kind of a hard-hitting interview. Like, good for him for just answering every question diplomatically. But I was like kneeling, CTE, money management, all of these difficult questions, and he fielded them all fantastically. Like, I cannot think of like a smarter NFL player, having seen some interviews with NFL players and having interviewed him. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He's definitely got that humble mentality, good for him. But yeah, I mean, brain injury, geez.
It's a scary thing.
Yeah, got to take care of that head.
Is that interview online?
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, and it was back when, I think now the way that I want to put out my interviews is like completely separate from podcast episodes, because I feel like the episodes, it's just like, it's nice if you just have 10 minutes, you want to catch up on the news, you didn't have a chance to read stuff in depth for the last week. But back then it was kind of like, I would do that and then play the interview at the end of everything. And it's like those pods ended up being a little bit longer. But yeah, I think you can still find it if you Google it, like Humboldt Last Week, Alex Kappa.
Oh, cool. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it was fun. It was nice talking to him. And actually my old coworker, Andrew Getz, helped set that up. He started a local podcast, Humboldt Sports Talk. He's since moved from the area. But he put out this like sports podcast for local sports, and it was fantastic. It was awesome. I think like Ray Hamill should probably do that. I don't even know him very well, but he does the Humboldt Sports website.
Okay.
Yeah, like if he did like a 10-minute like recap podcast, I would listen to that every week. Just like hear how the teams are doing and going. Like, the pandemic made me really want to watch live sports a lot, because it was just like, really? I'm like watching the NBA with like fake crowds and like canned in sounds.
The crowds was
stuff.
insane. Where they had the little cardboard cutouts, and it was like, what?
Yeah, it felt so empty. And it's just like this like hole, it's like, oh yeah, it's like there's something missing. But yeah, and so like we started going to Humboldt State University games or Cal Poly Humboldt basketball games more. Those are so fun.
Oh yeah.
I watched a guy win an SUV at halftime.
Was that the golf pod
Yes.
everybody's been talking about?
Yes.
I didn't see it. Supposedly there's a video out on it. I haven't seen the video yet.
Yeah, the video. I mean, it was pretty cool. It's like it's cheap because how do you sink a putt on a basketball court? So they just have like this like cardboard thing with like a little hole, and then he hits the putt from all the way across the gym.
Oh, it was a full court shot.
Full court shot.
Oh shit! And he sunk it.
And he sunk it, man. I mean, but also it's like, sorry to him if he hears this, but it also like hit the board and then kind of like the momentum of it like pushed it into the hole.
Hey, whatever counts. Counts.
Yeah, whatever's clever. Good for him.
I would take that too. I'd be like, this is in. I don't know what anybody else has to say about it, but
like supposedly like they've been doing that promo for years and nobody's ever won. And so like we went to go watch HSU basketball. Or
you were there when it happened?
Yeah.
Oh, I bet the crowd was going
nuts.
Yeah.
It was so fun. And going to those Cal Poly Humboldt basketball games, men or women, it's just the energy in there is like fantastic. But we ended up starting to buy those, it's like $10 extra. You go to the seat back section, because I'm a grown ass adult, 30-year-old, 33-year-old man.
Can't sit on a bench? Come
Can't
on.
just be sitting on a bench hurting my butt. But yeah, I'm excited for that more, like seeing like local sports more and Crabs games and HSU or Cal Poly Humboldt basketball games.
I know it's weird. It's weird hearing you say Cal Poly Humboldt.
Yeah,
that's the first time I've heard somebody say it out loud.
Yeah, it's like I'm a Cal Poly Humboldt alumni. It's odd to say that because it's just like doesn't doesn't hit yet. It's like, the end of the year, whenever you have to start writing the new year.
Yeah, and
just
you
do it
keep
wrong
writing
for a month.
2021. It's like, oh shit, it's
Yeah.
2022. Okay, let's.
Yeah, I think people have a grace period there. But yeah, I mean, the Cal Poly Humboldt thing, I mean, that's really good. I don't think people realize that when something like that happens and you're getting like $500 million from the state to like build new facilities, not only on campus in Arcata, but also in Eureka, like you're bringing in more people, you're bringing in more science background people. Like people don't realize, like, even if you don't give a crap about Cal Poly Humboldt, that is such a huge benefit for this community. And even if it's just like Arcata and Eureka that are seeing the benefits, like there's a ripple effect of the economies, and it's like, I was a minor in economics at school, and really it's like, I think just the average person is like, oh yeah, Humboldt State, those hoity-toities, but like they don't realize like a move like that is like huge for us. Like it's going to be long-standing positive economics for us. There's a lot of things like that going on right now in Humboldt that are just huge.
We have a lot of very interesting developments going on.
Yeah.
There's the hatchery thing. What is the fishery?
Oh yeah, the fish
out
farm.
in Samoa, the fish farm.
Yeah.
There's that huge development they're going to do out at Redwood Fields. That 300 plus development deal. I don't know if it was. I can't think of the name of who got it. But they're going to build
more housing.
More housing. They're going to have
that
think, restaurants or something
Gateway
back there
plan
too.
is pretty huge. Where there's like 7,000 more people could be potentially have housing in Arcata. That's crazy. It's like you see those huge developments happening. The offshore wind energy, that's really big. That's going to be a monster economic help for us. The fiber optic line from Singapore.
Have they started laying that? I haven't heard anything about it. Okay.
Yeah, there's actually, I mean, if you drive 255 now, the delays that you're dealing with right there are actually related to that.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, pretty interesting.
Huh.
So they're laying the the lines for that, or they're prepping for that. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be huge. That's huge tech money.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what that does to the local economy.
Yeah,
we start getting some
and
more,
accessibility
some
too for communities getting better access and stuff. Not worldwide, but nationwide because of it. That fiber optic line is going to be big, and hopefully Humboldt can see some of those benefits because it goes straight to our hood. But yeah, the thing with HSU and the fiber optic line, the new developments and stuff, it's like, yeah, our housing prices are high, but I think that they're going to keep going up because I don't know when they're going to stop going up.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
The market is ridiculous. Ridiculous. I've seen I keep talking about this all the time, but I've seen one bedrooms going for, $1,200, $1,300, $1,400 a month. Houses, 2-bedroom, 1 bath going for $350,000, $400,000.
You grew up here too, and you can compare the prices to what they used to be.
Ridiculous.
Oh my gosh.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, and after the 2008 fiscal crisis in the nation, and we started seeing all those what do you call them? Houses. They're foreclosed houses. Like whenever I first started looking at houses in Humboldt, there were so many foreclosures on the market, and they were just dirt cheap. I mean, some of those houses like that I was looking at back then, like 2011 or something, they were like $200,000. They're like on the market for $600,000 now. It's just nuts.
And in as is condition. That's the crazy thing. I've seen houses that are run down, that have dry rot, that need new roofs, have leaks, and they're going for $500,000 plus.
Yeah. Well, and a big part of it too is like, I talked to this guy over at Cal Poly Humboldt. He was an economics professor over there, and he posited the idea that we're starting to see a lot of people coming from like Central California because of wildfires, because we're not quite as susceptible to wildfires here in Humboldt. And that makes a lot of sense. It's like we're getting some of those people coming into, and they've got the money to pay for the better climate and the awesome nature that we have here. I mean, we have so much to do.
And the remote tech jobs, that's what I've been hearing.
Yeah.
Because if you're, like you said, you're in the Bay Area, you're making, $100,000, $200,000 a year, and you come up here and can still earn that because technically you're working down there, but oh yeah, $500,000 for a house, that's cheap.
Yeah.
That's cheap. I'll take it. I don't
Yeah.
even need to see it. I'll take it.
You got like Wing Inflatables doing military contracts, huge money, and you've got like, Mad River Brewery hitting the San Francisco Giants stadium now.
Oh, I did hear about that.
Yeah.
That's a big contract.
That's cool. Yeah. You start to see all this like cool stuff that's coming into Humboldt and out of Humboldt, not just cannabis, but all kinds of other stuff. Hopefully the cannabis industry can fix itself.
Do you know anything about that? Because I don't. I've been hearing about this tax problem, and all these local farmers are saying, "Oh, we can't maintain this. We're gonna collapse under it."
I know the basics of it. It's probably the same stuff that you've seen in the headlines. It's just that the industry is really struggling right now, and it was because of too many producers hitting the market at the same time, too much product hitting the market at the same time, and prices just plummeting. And so when it used to be like some of these growers grow some pretty awesome Humboldt stuff, we're known for that throughout the world. And they're sometimes we're able to get $3,000, $4,000 for a freaking pound. And now they're like $500 a pound or whatever. I don't know the exact numbers of it, but it's just, it's pretty bad right now. And really, to anybody that says, oh, cannabis has done such horrible things for our community, well, it's not all cartels that are growing cannabis here in Humboldt County. There have been a lot of people, especially in southern Humboldt, that are upstanding community members that did this not for profit or for greed, but just to make a living with the land, with a agricultural product to help others. And also they would donate things to schools and donate money to, programs that were helpful in the community. The black market in Humboldt County before we passed legalization here in the state, it was pretty heftily responsible for, like, some people would say as high as 40% of our economy was based in cannabis.
Yeah, people don't want to recognize that or acknowledge it.
Yeah.
So this is a big part of our economy up here. Is this, and people still just shit all over it.
Yeah, and at least 72% of statistics are made up on the spot. I got to stop throwing around statistics, but but I mean, it's true. It's like, and so a little bit of tax help is really good. So what happened recently with the Board of Supervisors is that they gave them a huge tax break for this year. So, cultivators are going to be able to hopefully see some benefits from that. And then they're also, pushing at the state level to get some state tax relief as well. And that really should help. Kind of, through my lens and what I've dealt with, it's like, I started looking at the stock market a little bit, and I wasn't one of those like GameStop people from last year. But that was interesting. That was very interesting.
It was exciting to see how it played out up until Robinhood and the big boys said, "No, we're done." And shut it down.
Oh yeah, and really there was so much wrong with that.
And that should be a wake up call for a lot of people.
I think it poked a hole in the system, and I think people are starting to wake up and realize, hey, there's something to this. And I hope that everyday people that start investing now don't day trade, because that's a casino. You know what I mean? It's like, if you're going to put money into that market, they say invest 10% of your savings, and that's it, and cap it there. And they say don't check the account every day. And some of the better investors will say don't check your account hardly ever, like maybe every 5 years look at it. Consider that money as something that potentially could all go away, but also, you're putting yourself in the running for a little bit of a gain. And so anyway, like, I made a couple of small investments last year, and some of them really panned out, but one of them I put a little bit of money into a cannabis ETF. And I mean, that sucker is down like 50% right now, and I think a lot of people at that time, they were like, oh, the pandemic's happening. Let's like start investing into some of these, things that like agricultural products and like groceries and, and things that everybody needs on a day-to-day basis whenever the economy is rough and in bad shape. And, you'll kind of notice like trends of like beer doing well at times like that, or tobacco products doing well at times like that. So I'm like, okay, I'll put a little money in cannabis. Plummeted. But I'm hoping because I didn't sell it, because I'm the type of investor that's willing to sit on things 15 years. I'm hoping that the industry rights itself. And I talk about this like I have a lot of money in it. It's chump change, what I have in it. But I just mostly did it as kind of like, hey, let's see what happens here. So yeah, I mean, they're in a hole, and hopefully they can dig themselves out because it's really important here for them to do well.
Yeah, I think we would see a major hit if a lot of them collapsed up here. I do not think that would be a good thing. So it was a supply. We had too much supply, and the tax rate was a little too high. That was those were the two factors.
Especially for small farmers. And I think the huge issue a lot of small farmers and the problem that a lot of small farmers saw with legalization whenever it happened was that it wasn't done in a way that would like protect them. They worried that, Marlboro Greens would come in and just destroy all of them. And we've kind of seen that a lot. There's a lot of there's a lot of big companies that have come in that aren't really necessarily Humboldt local. Come in and make a lot of money. And so, I think this community, whenever they see the passage of projects, they do factor that in, and, props to the county for doing the best that they can do. And hopefully they're not dropping the ball too much. It seems like they've done a lot of things that are helpful for the farmers. But yeah, I mean, yeah, a caveat again, I'm not a cannabis expert, but hopefully, from what I've seen that whenever that industry does well, that our economy does well locally.
Mm-hmm.
So
I had Jillian Levy from Humboldt Apothecary on the podcast. Amazing. She's so cool. And that's a local business, and it was cool getting to see that side and talk to somebody that's actually in that world. I should reach back out to her and try to talk about the tax stuff, because I've been hearing about that and hearing that, hey, if we don't do something, a lot of people are going to go underwater.
Yeah.
But it's good to hear that the county stepped up and is trying.
It was a huge tax break. And, a lot of people that are outside of the industry were very critical about the the millions of projected lost revenue in taxes over giving them such a break. But, it just goes back to that. You got to spend money to make money.
And if it collapses, then there's not going to be any potential for money. That's the thing. So, you give them a tax break this year and slowly try to recoup that back over the next few years. But
if everybody's out of the industry and they just let Marlboro Greens take over,
that's not good for anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it doesn't help. And really, you got to support local. You got to buy local food, go to farmers markets if you can, go to local restaurants owned by mom and pops. And I think we're starting to see a huge wave of that. A friend of Humboldt last week, Rhonda from Beck's Bakery, she's a sponsor of the program, so and I'm not trying to just shout out all my sponsors, that's tacky, but she just wrote something up, and I really liked it. It was just about the supply chain issues that we saw during the pandemic, and there was a shortage of flour. And she brought up how they source their flour pretty local, like they get it from a farmer that they know, and it's close to Humboldt. And they were still able to make bread during that time. And so, and she wasn't saying, hey, look what we did, but they're saying, hey, whenever times get tough, hopefully you have some ways to get you through that. Grow your own food, support the local farmers, support the farmers markets and stuff. So, it's nice seeing that. I think we have a community that really cares about sustainability through tough times, because we've seen a few tough times. Oh my gosh, I feel so bad for my brothers and my sister, because they're like early 20s, late teens. So in their lifetime, they've basically seen like the upset of 9/11, the collapse of 2008, a pandemic, potential world war right now. It's been rough for your generation. Do you feel that? Do you have something to compare that to?
I've been thinking about it. That's funny you brought it up, because over the past few weeks I've really been thinking about it, and you might be the right person to talk to just because you're a little bit older than me.
Barely.
Yeah, and I'm wondering in that is this just how life is? Is that life is a series of these almost catastrophic events, and you just progress through it or you don't. And luckily, we've always progressed through it in the world. But you don't realize that as a kid because your life is consumed with school and with how, going to this class or meeting this girl or, trying out for this team. And then after high school and more so after college, well, a little bit in college, you start to get that awakening of, oh, this is the real world. Mm-hmm. And then you start to notice these events and you start to see them. And I don't know. Is that how life always is? Maybe I should talk to someone who's like 90.
Yeah.
And say, hey, is this just what life is? Is all these crazy things that continuously happen every few years? Or is it just now, like in the past 20 years, that it's just been chaotic?
Initially, what I wanted to say is, like I grew up as a kid in the 90s, in the early 2000s. And a lot of people like to say like the 90s were a really good time for us, and really as a nation, they kind of were. But at the same time, looking back on it, I just wasn't aware of the Gulf crisis in the early 90s, and I wasn't, privy to all the challenges that were going on in the nation. It was a really polarized time in the 90s too for a while there. A lot of people didn't realize that we basically went all like, hardcore left and hardcore right of a president getting a BJ. So, Yeah. I don't really know. I think a historian would probably be better, like a U.S. historian or, journalist who's been around for a lot longer than me.
Because you're only 27?
No, I'm 33.
Oh, are you? Okay. Yeah, but still, I mean, you're young enough where you kind of fall into the same boat that I just laid out, where it's like we're still. We didn't get to see the 70s and the 80s.
Especially when I started paying attention.
Yeah.
Like really when I started paying attention, it seemed like, oh, wow, there's a lot of rough
A lot of shit going on.
Yeah. But, at the same time, that all needs to be put into perspective. It's like we're pretty shielded here in California, in Northern California, in this rural community that we're in that seems to care about others as a whole for the most part. And we seem to like try to pick each other up whenever we're down. I would like, I should probably do a story on this and try to find some data, like GoFundMe data, local GoFundMe data. Because I've seen some things out there that suggest that Humboldt County is the most generous of all communities in terms of like donating to GoFundMe and causes
nationwide.
Like that. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like per capita, I think more residents here give than probably most places in the United States. I've seen that a lot. I haven't seen the actual concrete numbers, but I've heard that a lot. And it really, it goes to show the types of people that are here. Yeah, and sure, there's a lot of folks that are just kind of like, I don't give a damn about anybody, and all I care about is my own roof, and that's okay too, I guess. But well, I wouldn't say it's okay, but it is what it is. It happens in every community. We all know those people. But yeah, I mean, and there's also households with people that like you that are getting out messaging of positive things that are going on in the world, talking to the homegrown folks or talking to the people that care about the cannabis economy and, keep on doing it, dude. Cause you're rocking it.
It's been fun. Yeah. It's not I'm not out here trying to save the world, I guess. I mean, I'm just a guy in a garage having a beer, and I take more out of this than anything. This is just fun for me.
Well, and helping people get their message out too.
Yes. And getting a well-rounded view of life. I think you have to talk to people, and especially talk to people that come from different worldviews and different circumstances and different beliefs than you. Otherwise, you're not a real person. Mm-hmm. You just have you're in this box of, oh, this is what I believe, but nobody's ever challenged you on that. And you just think, yep, this little 4x4 box is my life, and I'm going to live in that. And that's a scary thought.
Have you had an episode where you just kind of left and you're like, wow, I never thought I would change my mind about that subject, but I did?
I've had a lot of wild episodes.
Yeah.
I've had episodes where I left kind of shaking because I was so amped up. Like, what the fuck was that? What was that?
Yeah.
I've had episodes where people have challenged me, yes, and it's caused me to reevaluate how I think about a certain thing for better. I've also had conversations where people have tried to do that and it's come across the wrong way, and luckily for me, reinforced my belief because I was countered with a bad belief. And so it strengthens, okay, this is a good idea.
Sure.
So keep holding on to this one until somebody comes along with a better one. But people are so variable and so dynamic. I mean, you sit down with somebody for 20 minutes and you could have your mind blown or think, this person's fucking crazy. What am I doing right here? What are we even talking about? Where's this going?
Yeah.
But I mean, that's so much fun.
And that makes the good conversations better. Right?
They've all been, I've enjoyed every conversation I've had, for sure. Some of them more than others, of course.
Yeah, we're human.
Some of them have challenged me in different ways.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's the same. You go talk to 5 random people on the street and you're going to have that. That's just people.
Yeah.
That's just communicating.
I really like the idea of trying to, like, have more just coffees with people that have different perspectives than I do, you know, and just listen.
It's a challenge.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know that. But for the people that aren't communicating with people with different beliefs on the regular, some people don't like that. And when they find out you have a different belief, they'll shut down on you in a weird way, rather than talk about it and say, okay, we disagree, but we're going to have this conversation and we're going to see where it goes. And you might leave the same way and I might leave the same way and nothing changes, but at least we talked.
Yeah.
And we're cordial and had a pleasant conversation, hopefully. Some people don't want that.
Did you read the Sneetches, the Dr. Seuss book growing up?
Probably when I was really young. I don't remember it.
That's a really good one. So it centers around these Sneetches, and some of them have stars on their bellies and others don't. And the ones with the stars on their bellies were privileged, and they had like little parties, and they, you know, did their own thing, and they played games together, and they never invited the Sneetches that didn't have stars on their bellies. And then in comes this guy named Sylvester McMonkey McBean, who's got, you know, like $signs in his eyeballs. And he's like, I've got this machine that will give you all stars. And so the ones without the stars on their bellies go and they get stars on their bellies. And then the ones that had the stars to start, they're like, bro.
Now everybody's got stars. Now we're all fucked.
And McBean goes to them and he says, well, I got this machine that will take your stars off. And so they do that. And they're like, oh, well, now we're the ones that are better. The ones without stars are the best. And then it all goes down until, like, you know, McBean is making them all spend their money on changing stars on, stars off until all their money is gone and he leaves town. And I think that's the problem is, like, we don't realize that, you know, if we're not united, that, you know, we're just going to spend all of our money and somebody that was greedy is going to leave town. And so I like to say, oh, well, you got a blue shirt, you got a red shirt on. Well, okay, you know, why don't we have a conversation with each other and let's respect one another and let's not, like, make the other person feel less than because of their position, because clearly everybody is raised and has their own life experience, and that's why they've gotten to the position that they've gotten to. So, I mean, let's give people the benefit of the doubt. But then again, you know, I totally understand if, like, you're talking to somebody and it's clear that they're taking that position. It's like, oh, well, you're wearing a red shirt, you're wearing a blue shirt. Well, I don't give a damn about you, you know, and, like, you're nothing. It's like, well, I don't really want to be friends with a person that has that worldview, you know. But if I see somebody that has a red shirt or a blue shirt on or whatever, and they're, you know, they're willing to listen and they're willing, but also to, you know, cordially and respectfully share their position without trying to assert it onto people, I think that's a really awesome value in folks. And I've seen people on both sides of the aisle that are able to do that.
That's how it should be. Steel sharpens steel, right? The only way you can sharpen your idea is challenge it with another idea.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you hit the nail on the head in that you just have to have a polite conversation.
Mm-hmm.
That you don't have to like the person. You don't have to. Maybe you don't want to have it, and you're like, okay, we're done. But you leave on good terms. it doesn't feel like a lot of people, I don't know the percentage, want to have that depending on certain views. Like abortion, if you have someone who's super pro-abortion or pro-life and they're talking and, somebody is anti-abortion and maybe religious and somebody they're trying to have this discussion, that could be the end of the discussion before it happens.
Well,
Like
there's some issues that it's like,
yeah,
yeah, it's like there's no give or take on certain
it's
issues
just
for some people.
it's cut and dry. This is
Mhm.
the line, and if you step over that line, okay, we can't have a conversation anymore.
Right. And I've seen a lot of that. It's like, um, you can have your own opinion, but it's like we can have a difference of opinion, but whenever you're like racist or homophobic or sexist or whatever, we don't have a difference of opinion. We have a difference in morality. And I feel like a lot of people have issues where it's like, wow, we have a difference in morality there, you know?
You know what that makes me feel though? You should talk to those people more, not less.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you exclude somebody based on their belief or based on maybe they have some homophobic thoughts or voicing some homophobic whatever or being anti-Semitic whatever, if you isolate them, they're gonna double down on that belief. And they're gonna be like, fuck these people, fuck all these people. This is what I believe. This is me. But if you challenge their ideas and point out the flaws or challenge them with better ideas, that might make them change. It might. It might not.
That's where growth happens.
Yeah,
Man.
but you don't get that growth if you shut them in a closet and say, no, fuck you, you're excluded from society now. You don't have to agree with their ideas. You can say, hey, this is a shitty way of thinking.
And that's why when a democracy is functioning like a democracy, and there are actual news stations out there that are allowed to put the news out there that isn't state sanctioned or government sanctioned, that's when more people are sitting around the table and talking about these issues, and that's when growth happens. But whenever you're stunted and it's only one point of view, it's a huge problem, And so I wouldn't say that I love the fact that we have a CNN and a Fox News, because that's too far. One is too far and the other is too far. But we need like our BBCs and our PBSs, people that are kind of like grounded and rooted in centerism, and telling these stories from all perspectives and getting all perspectives together around this circle to try and come up with the actual truth instead of, opinions that sound like the truth.
Unbiased information.
Mm-hmm.
You have to just present the facts to people and let them try to make their opinion.
Absolutely.
And if it's wrong, maybe help challenge those ideas or whatever. But you can't, if you start off biased, it's very hard to correct back.
Or make it clear, whenever you're presenting your information, because sometimes it's just two Joes sitting around, make it clear, like, hey, I'm not an expert in this area, but, we're bullshitting about it, just like you and I are. You know what I mean? And I think people need to be more self-aware. I think there's like a huge self-awareness problem going on in the world right now. It's not like a polarization problem. It's like just look at yourself and realize that the world doesn't revolve around just you. Take a look at yourself. You are not better than anybody. Take a look at yourself. Compete only with yourself. And try to get better, but don't try to be better than others. You know what I mean? And I think like if the whole world just had that point of view, we wouldn't have a Ukrainian conflict right now. We wouldn't have wars and all this unnecessary bloodshed and bullshit. But then again, it all goes back to this like base psychology problem that some of these people have. It's just little man complex, just ego, just driven by the id, and I think that a lot of people have it right, because we're really focused on Ukraine right now, but there's a lot of countries out there that are doing a good job,
and a lot of countries that are doing a bad job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
China with I always fuck up this word. The Uyghur
The
Muslims.
Uyghurs, yeah.
That's just going on. I mean, Saudi Arabia just mass executed like 150 people. They still have anti-gay rhetoric and stuff out there. I mean, take your pick. Yemen,
Yeah.
which Yemen's been, I don't know how long the civil war's been going on, but I think back in high school it was still a problem. I don't know if it was a war then or if it was building, but I remember watching I think our teacher played a documentary or animated film documentary thing about it, and just sitting there thinking, wow, this is insane. And here we are today, and Yemen's still a problem. It's still falling apart over there.
Yeah. Yeah, that Uyghur crisis is messed up.
Insane.
That is messed up.
Insane.
I am so glad that we as a nation can say that that's wrong.
But But see, here's the thing. Do we do anything about that?
Well, I mean, sanctions. And it goes back to like, we need to hurt them, but do we need to go to world war? You know, do we need to start war with China? I don't think so, but you know, we have tools, and we need to be not only strong with what we decide to do against these countries, like sanctions and stuff, but we need to talk strong too. And I think that it would be nice if you know, we were always in a position where we could, you know, just really hold those people accountable for those atrocities. There's no way to do it. You know, there's no easy way.
It's hard when they're, you know, an ocean away from us.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what can we really do?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we can buy American made.
Which I think a lot of people are waking up to the fact that we need to start doing that, especially with chips and semiconductors.
Mm-hmm.
We can't rely on these other countries.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, a lot of these countries have necessities and exports that we rely on heavily. So, you know, self-reliance, local food, you know, if we can start relying less on fossil fuels for our transportation, that would be probably good. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think a lot of people right now are starting to look at electric cars. People that I never thought would ever consider electric cars are looking at electric cars right now, you know, because of the stereotypes that were associated with those drivers before. But I don't know. Like, how do you feel about it? Are you hurting at the pump right now?
I think everybody's hurting at the pump.
Yeah.
If you're, you know, on gas, it's.
Well, I mean, it's like because not everybody's in the same boat, you know, because I'm teleworking right now, personally, you know, so I feel like there's been this kind of revolution that happened with the pandemic where some of these offices are realizing, oh, well, maybe we don't need every single one of our hundreds of employees in the car spitting out black smoke back and forth, you know, hour a day. I think there's a lot of people, you know, and so it's nice to have these new ideas come in or whatever, because not everybody's position is the same. But like the people that have to commute to work, like, I mean, my girlfriend Shai, I mean, she's still commuting to work. She worked at she's been working at the co-op for well over a decade. And so she was still there. Nothing changed for her in the pandemic. She just kept going to work. Like, business is normal, same old, you know what I mean? There was no work from home for her. But so yeah. I mean, we're all hurting at the pump. Not everybody's hurting the same.
Different extents, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I hope that stays.
Yeah.
That idea that there really are jobs that you don't need to be in the office for, that you can do from home and should do from home, because why go sit at a desk all day if you don't have to?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why not stay home, be with your kids, work, enjoy life a little bit more?
Yeah.
You know, I hope that stays.
Yeah. Yeah. And some people need that face-to-face, or they need to be able to read people's facial expressions, which is, you know, it's good. Just like turn your camera on WebEx or Zoom or whatever, or Teams or whatever you're on.
Take your pick. There's so many now.
Yeah, many. Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely it hurts though. I mean, Schlafers at $8.50 a gallon down there in Mendocino. That's crazy. You saw that, right?
It's ridiculous. And I don't get how who can afford that. It cost me $100 to fill up. I've got that little Ranger out front. It cost me like $100 to fill that up.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That's crazy.
That's
I want that rebate though. I want that rebate like yesterday.
Is that going through?
I hope so. I mean, you'd think so. It seems like it would have bipartisan support.
It'd be weird. You don't want to be the one guy that stands up and says, we can't do this.
We don't want $400 towards our gas. That's the worst.
People need to pay.
Yeah.
Send them to the pump. Their support for Ukraine is enough. They just need to pay now too.
Yeah. Speaking of, kind of more small potatoes, bipartisan support things. Did you see the legislation possibly for ending daylight savings time?
It went through, right?
Yeah. So it passed in the Senate, and I think it needs House approval, and then it would need Biden to sign off on it.
And a lot of people are upset, right? Because didn't we do this in the 70s and people were pissed? It didn't pan out how they thought it would.
I don't know that, but I do know that like daylight savings time is mostly antiquated because it was created for farmers, right? And now everything is like, the world is so different in the farming industry. I'm not an expert in this area either, but from what I understand, there's a lot of logistics to iron out for it first. People don't think about flights and just the overall scheduling nightmare it's going to cause, because people are so used to switching. There's, all the logistics is going to be crazy. And I'm sure that there are certain people that make a lot of money on the way that things are now, just like any change, you know what I mean? But I would hope that something it just makes sense to not go back and forth, because from my perspective, I see collisions going up whenever we go back and forth because people are just groggy on their drive that first day. And, I don't know, what do you think about it? Do you want to keep it? What did you see that was controversial?
I was listening to a podcast and I think they were talking about it's Breaking Points with Crystal and Sagar. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's a really good news podcast.
Oh, cool.
And they were talking about it, and I believe, don't quote me on this, but I'm gonna say it like it's a fact that we've done it before in the 60s or 70s, and it was a big problem, especially for the Northeast and the Midwest, because it's dark. It's pitch black when people are going to work and going to school.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a problem with, I think there were a couple kids that got hit by a car because it was pitch black and they were walking to school, and they had to have kids start wearing reflective vests. And it was more trouble than it was good. And that's why we switched back to doing daylight saving time.
I could see that. Just the morning being difficult.
If
Absolutely.
you're going to work in pitch black and you're at work for 3 hours and it's still dark outside, that might weigh on people.
Yeah. And then those, on the other side is well, okay, but is it now dark whenever we're going home, which is often the case.
Yeah, and then you might have longer nights, which supposedly is the argument for it, is that you get more sun after work. And so you can be outside longer and enjoy it more.
Yeah. It's a lot of people, I think the most common schedule is the 8 to 5, the 9 to 5.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I'm not really in a camp. I don't have an opinion about it. I think if I was in school, I might be pissed having to sit through your first 3 classes and it's pitch black outside. I don't know if I would like that, but maybe it would make up for it after school because you can go hang out with friends till, I don't know, 7, 8 o'clock and it's sunny out.
Yeah.
And you get to enjoy your evenings.
Yeah. I think the winters would be a lot better, especially, here in Humboldt County, sometimes we have some of those days where it's nice and warm out, where wow, we have a little bit of extra time. We could actually go to the beach and be in the sun and the beach after work. That would be pretty incredible here in Humboldt County.
It's nice. This is my favorite time of year because you get those longer nights back.
Yeah.
It's great for us.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how it is for the rest of the country.
Yeah.
I think it'll be interesting to see how it plays out for sure. And I'm pretty sure we did it before and we switched back, and it'll be interesting to see if those same problems arise and we switch back again.
Yeah.
But who am I? I don't know anything about time. I'm just, time's made up. So
yeah, well, it's always spring forward is easier, or fall backward is easier than spring forward, because that's the fall backward is you get an extra hour of sleep pretty much, and that's always that's easy.
But I mean, I haven't changed my clock in years. It just changes automatically on. I use my phone or my computer. Like I haven't done that, so it's not really a big issue for me because I'm not changing anything, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
are you excited for it? Do you think this is a good call?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I think that a lot of people are really thrown off because a lot of people are like very schedule oriented. You know what I mean? And so whenever just the slightest thing gets thrown off, it's not just like one day of acclimating for them. It's like it could be like weeks for them to
Mm-hmm.
get back to normal. So I've for mostly from my perspective, I've heard a lot of people are like really
For it.
for changing daylight savings time. But it's funny we're talking about this, and it's like there's actual things that we could do that matter more. You know what I mean? It's pretty small potatoes, but there's other issues that are going on right now. We still got the pandemic. The opioid epidemic didn't go away. You know, we've got some international challenges that we've already discussed. We've got plenty of problems to tackle, but
It is weird that it's happening now with everything that's going on. Like this is the issue we chose to tackle.
that's the one that
Daylight
we got
saving time?
bipartisan
Yeah,
support on.
this is the one that we pushed through. Okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yep.
Out of all of the other ones, we really need. Let's focus on time.
Yeah. There
Let's
we
get
go.
that extra hour back.
Yeah. Let's not bring inflation down or anything. Let's
No.
just.
Here's an extra hour at night. There you go.
Yep,
You
yep.
get a little more sun. Take that and be happy.
We got those interest rates going up though. The
Yep.
Fed is trying to tamp down on inflation with that a little bit.
It'll be interesting to see how that. I don't know. And part of me wishes I was 6, 7 years older when 2008 happened, so that I could have paid attention to it and seen the aftermath. Because I've heard a lot of people say this is how it felt back then, the
Mhm.
build up, and that we're waiting for the other crash.
Yeah.
And I've heard a lot of people say, no, this is the new normal now. That
Yeah.
these home prices, these rates, this is just what it is
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And I don't know because
Yeah.
I don't have anything to go off of. I'm just trying to listen to as many people as I can. But it doesn't seem like it's sustainable.
Yeah.
The market, with inflation, with gas prices, there are these pressures that are put on people, and yet everybody's still buying stuff. And so I'm sitting here with my limited intelligence, thinking, when does the bottom blow out?
Yeah.
And it hasn't yet. I thought it would have happened months ago.
Yeah.
And stocks are kind of iffy just in general right now. I mean, you could be up
So volatile.
$1,200 a day and down $3,000 the next.
So volatile. Yeah.
But everything else, when does what happens?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel sustainable. And so
Yeah.
maybe the Fed hikes help. I've heard people say that's going to just push us into a recession or a depression even. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
What?
It's hard to like tackle all of these challenges while at the same time we have significant issues that are going on because we need to like make sure that we're giving people a livable wage. You know, I mentioned like grocery store workers and there's other like frontline workers or whatever, and they're not making enough money worldwide, you know what I mean, or nationwide. And did you see the thing? There's that restaurant down in Ferndale that made Reddit anti-work.
No, I didn't.
Oh gosh. Okay, so there was this ad, and I'm not even gonna name the name of the restaurant in Ferndale because it doesn't matter. But they were like, we can't find any workers, and like people are like, it's because you're only offering $10 an hour, you know, and we really do need to like tackle the minimum wage problem and like making sure that we give people a livable wage while at the same time like trying to focus on the fact that like people that are in high school getting their first job don't necessarily deserve a household wage. So how do we do that at the same
That's
time?
the thing, right?
Yeah.
And people get mad hearing that. It's like you're in high school. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
But if you
have dependents and
or if you're out of high school, you should be able to work 40 hours a week, afford your place, your apartment, buy food, and not be worried if you can keep the power on. Like that
Mhm.
should just be a basic standard we set that you can eat and you can sleep and you're gonna be okay.
I don't care where you work. If you're working 40 hours a week, you should be able to have meals and a shower, and you should be able to afford, a life for your child if you have one. your children if you have them. And it's just a shame that it's like there's a lot of people out there that are like working 40 hours a week and they can't afford those things. That's a huge problem.
Or working 2 jobs
Yeah.
and can barely get by.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
That's not right. But yeah. Yeah. How's the other gig going for you lately besides podcasting? Are you still doing some upholstery?
Yeah, just plugging along. I'm in a weird spot because I live at home. I've lived at home since I graduated because I'm like, I don't want to go pay rent, so I'll just keep working and doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, smart.
And I equate it. This is just me, maybe my ego stepping in, but I feel like I'm almost in the position of those Greek philosophers where they didn't work, they didn't really do anything, they just drank and did what they did and thought about things.
Uh-huh.
I'm not doing so much of the drinking, but I get the opportunity to kind of just look at the world because I don't have to pay rent and I can save my cash and I have a little more free time than I think most people would if they were working and stressing about rent because I would have to have 2 jobs. I wouldn't be able to afford it.
Yeah. You're like so Tyrion Lannister, man. You drink and you know things.
Yeah. Well, I don't know things, but I do a little drinking and I get to hang out. But I'm in this weird position where I get to watch the world more than I would if I was working a job and couldn't do the podcast because I have to work and afford these other things. I don't know where I was going with that. What was I just trying to say?
Yeah, it's like you get to trying to focus on learning.
Yes. Yeah. So the Greek philosopher in that I'm in this weird period in my life where I'm observing and kind of trying to save up cash and make a move when the opportunity presents itself. That's where I am in this stage of my life.
The growing pains, the growing pleasures. Hell yeah.
It's all part of the fun.
Exactly. Yeah. Did you watch the new The Sky is Everywhere?
No, but that was filmed here locally, right?
Yeah, they spent $2 million on it here.
Oh, wow.
Which is like, that's another awesome thing. Shout out to Cassandra Hesseltine at the Film Commission because whenever Apple TV Plus or a project like that comes here,
that's a big deal.
They're starting to spend lots of money, and every single time we've had a big movie shoot here, gosh, they've done well in the community. But this movie is beautiful, Nick. You got to check it out. Like, the sappiness of it is like a little, I don't know, I watched it with my family, it's a family movie, it's a teen movie, so there's like all these like teen hormones,
little cheesy,
like cheesy love triangle, but it was also just beautiful, like seeing Humboldt in this way, just seeing like the sort of like utopian version, and I couldn't help, I shouldn't even say this, but it's like they filmed this beautiful scene on the boardwalk here in Eureka, and I was like, oh, they had to like move all the homeless people, but it's like you're thinking this, but also it's like, yeah, but we're working hard on those issues and we're trying to help those people and give them a leg up or whatever, help boost them into a better life. That's all great, but yeah, it's like you go to those locations or whatever, and it's just they're shot in a way that is just so magical, so special, so beautiful. Having grown up here, and there's this other funny thing too. It's like they make it seem like it's just like a stone's throw to the beach, just a stone's throw to like the beautiful like state park redwoods. Like everything's in their backyard. And I guess in Arcata you have a little bit of that more, but you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, it's definitely a utopian version of Humboldt, but I think you'd appreciate it.
I'll have to check it out. Yeah.
Having grown up here and
yeah, it'll be cool to see that.
Yeah, it's good. And really, maybe you could make it a drinking game. Just, take a swig every time you see something corny because there's some corny stuff in there.
Oh, I'm excited. I'll have to it's on Apple
TV Plus. Yeah. Okay. The Sky is Everywhere. And then Jason Segel was in it from How I Met Your Mother.
That was another one that they filmed. Oh, is that his movie?
Well, yeah. I mean, he was he kind of had a smaller role because it was more based on like the teens that are in the movie, the teenagers. But he was like the stoner uncle. So he was like yours, like typical Arcadan kind of guy. Just like wearing the big sweaters and getting stoned all the time. And
was this the movie that they were filming down in? They were doing a lot of work in Old Town and at the park.
Yeah.
Or was that another? Was there another one with Jason Segel?
Yeah, this Old Town. Yeah, they shot all
everywhere.
over.
Maybe this is the one because I remember him. He was directing one or doing something up here, so maybe this was that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's a
Jason Segel.
There's a TV series out. Somebody was telling me about it the other day with not Blue Ox. What is the name of that?
Oh, The Craftsman.
The Craftsman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
I didn't get to watch it yet, but I saw the trailer, and it's nice. You know, speaking of seeing Old Town in a really beautiful way, like that trailer's gorgeous.
I've heard good things.
Yeah, and you know the Blue Ox, they're offering half price admission this month because they're kind of celebrating that thing out on Discovery Plus. The Craftsman with what's that guy's name? Eric Hollenbeck is the guy who runs the Blue Ox Millworks.
Okay.
And I mean, he's done a lot of the stuff that's like in the interior of the Carson Mansion. So I mean, he's done some really important, you know, stuff with surrounding a lot of history, big history in this area. And yeah, shout out to all the artisans in Humboldt County because we have so many artists per capita in this place. Like that's another rumor that I've heard, and I haven't seen actual statistics on it, but I've heard that we have the most artists per capita here. It's awesome.
I would believe that. We have a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of people just doing whatever, creating whatever they can.
Yeah.
Whatever they want to.
You been out of town at all lately? Have you?
No, I was in LA back in October. Well, I went to Vegas for New Year's.
Hey, we just went to Vegas too.
Did you?
Yeah.
How was it?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, what'd you do there?
Everything. You know, Vegas, you know, we're just walking. My favorite part was we hit up some of those piano bars. That was so much fun. We saw the Blue Man Group, went to a couple really cool shows. Caught COVID up there. So that was, you know, a nice little going away present, as you would expect.
It didn't stay in Vegas.
Yeah, never does.
I'm sure I'm not the first person to say
But
that.
but that was cool. It was cool seeing. It was exciting being out there for New Year's because everybody was just there having fun, and it felt like it did pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Just everybody, this communal atmosphere. We're just all trying to have a good time.
Yeah.
And it was nice to experience that.
Yeah, he's starting to see kind of like the way that life can be and stuff. What I noticed in Vegas that I thought was pretty cool at the time that we went is like, you know, we're kind of dealing with this, oh, are we masking? Are we not masking? Whatever is like the respect that I saw there, you know, because it was like you'd be in one place and everybody would be in masks. And it's like nobody had any problem. They're just like, oh, yeah, people are more comfortable this way. You know, I'll just put it on. You know what I mean?
Were a lot of people wearing them when you went there?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. It seemed like in some places they weren't. You know, kind of.
That's pretty much that's how it was when I was down there.
And it's like I think that's the kind of adaptability that we can learn from right now, right? Is like, you know, is the staff all wearing masks? You know, I'm kind of like, well, if they are and if they have to like do this thing and maybe not necessarily like to their liking, all of them. You know, some are doing it by choice, some are being told to, whatever. It's like, well, I can have a little solidarity with them or whatever. It'd probably make them feel a little bit better. And I like seeing that, you know, I like seeing others kind of like, oh, let me read the rooms that I'm in. You know, we don't have to have like these like dead set, you know, black and white laws.
You have to do
like,
this.
Yeah. It's like, let's do it respectfully or whatever. But yeah, Vegas was fun. We went over to Meow Wolf.
I've not heard of that.
Oh my gosh, dude. Amazing. This place, it's all like neon, like bright colors, dark, like sort of like party vibe, like rave vibe art.
Huh.
And so
like a gallery.
It's like a gallery, but also like shopping and like food and drinks. And it's like you're just in this immersive, like colorful neon rave art machine, but also like in a mall, you know, or like also like at a club, you know what I mean? It's just, it's incredible. And so I was reading up about it and there's like some of the things, you know, it's very visual. So there's like a lot of original art associated with it. It's very vibrant and colorful and it, you know, just evokes all these artful emotions or whatever, but you know, at the same time it's like they kind of focus on the music too. So whenever you go in there, it's like this kind of like ravey, you know, trance, techno, you know, kind of bass driven music and stuff, but it's all original music created like where we went, all the music, it was like 3 days of music or something, all made by Brian Eno, who's like a guy who was like one of the founders of electronic music. And he did, oh my gosh. And so you go into every single room and like your typical surround sound is what, like 6 speakers, you know, like they have like 50 speakers.
Oh, a serious setup.
It's like in every single room that you're in. So
Oh, wow.
like the sound is just, for an audio nerd like
It'd be
ourselves.
insane, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, it sounds so good. But then there's a bunch of like interactive art and like weird like video games that you can play in there, and there's like an arcade, and there's like you can make music in there, but like also it keeps with the vibe of it, so you're just kind of manipulating the music.
So it's interactive.
It's interactive art. And what we did was the Omega Mart, which is in Las Vegas. And so you go in there and it's basically just like a bright grocery store, and you're going down the aisles, but all of the items are like straight up like weird stuff, like out of The Simpsons or something, like really strange cartoonish items. And like some of them you can actually buy them, but most of it is just like fake, like weird things. Like, I mean, I can't even think of anything right now. It's like roast beef toothpaste or something, just like weird, like
out of the norm.
Just like crazy, like acid trip type stuff. And then so we're cruising through there, and then they have like a tent, and you walk by the tent or whatever, and you're like, oh, there's like a little tent that you can crawl into. That's weird. And so you keep shopping or whatever. This is our experience. And then we passed by the tent again, and it's like, oh, I'm going to crawl in there and see like what. So you crawl through the tent, and it's like this whole other huge world. Like, I'm talking like, I don't know, like 100,000 square feet, like just
huge.
Monster other world, like where you can crawl up into things and go up into like new like bars, like a bar within the bar within, like, and it's all hidden, and it's nuts, dude.
Oh, wow.
It's really fun. So you got to check out Meow Wolf. And then we saw David Copperfield, which like,
oh, how was that?
My daughter loved it, man. I mean, we were all kind of like, oh, we know exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
But she loved it. And he's a heck of a performer, he's definitely a showman. And we watched Love, the Cirque du Soleil Beatles show. And that was so
pretty good.
Yeah. It was awesome. I wasn't necessarily like a huge fan of the Beatles. Like, I was more of like a Stones, Zeppelin kind of guy from that era. But my girlfriend, she loves the Beatles, so it was like really special for her. But,
oh, cool.
Yeah, it's nice checking out that, like getting back to checking out live music and going to shows and
just
stuff.
Going out.
Yeah.
Just having a good time, and everybody kind of letting their worries down.
Yeah.
And just having these communal experiences as people again.
All this release, yeah, that like, I mean, last time you and I talked, we had been kind of stuck inside for a while.
Yeah, we were kind of just coming out of everything.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like, it's that sort of tension. It's like
that angst that everybody's on a razor's edge. Just freaking shaking.
Get out and do life, go out and live your life and have some fun. And we've been doing that too. Like, we went and saw Band of Horses in LA, used that Avalo flight, which is so cheap. It's
amazing.
So nice.
Just right out of here. Just fly out.
Pop on up to the airport.
Yeah.
It's nice to see all the airport upgrades they're doing.
I know. Which is perfect, because that's a great little airport right there. They should have all these flights.
Yeah.
Like, it would just make sense.
It's like the Reno flight went away. It's like, nobody wants to go to Reno.
Yeah, we'll take that. We've already got Vegas. We're okay.
Sorry, I'm sure there's a lot of people that want to go out to Reno, but I'm not one of them. It's like, yeah, I looked at it, because I'm a snowboarder. And so I love heading out to the mountain. And I was like, well, gosh, if I can hop on a flight and go snowboarding, that would be great. But then you got to like get the hotel, and you got to like get an Uber, like a 40-minute Uber ride out to the mountain, or whatever, and rent stuff because you don't want to bring it all on the plane. It's like, oh, that
starts adding up.
That's not as convenient as just hopping in the car and going out to Shasta or Ashland, So I can kind of see why it went away. Maybe it'll come back. And I liked the idea of being able to see some like bands in the Reno Tahoe area, because a lot of bands go through there, and it's kind of like a lesser attended destination for shows, but like a lot of big bands go there.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, like they've got like, I think like Modest Mouse and Jack White, and there's all kinds of people that I like personally that have upcoming shows in Reno. So I was looking at that flight for that, because it was another one of those cheaper ones,
mm-hmm.
AHA Air or something. But we have so many destinations now, and it's great, Vegas and Los Angeles, San Francisco and Denver and Phoenix, and being able to go to all these places, get the connections is like pretty amazing for our community. Being so isolated sometimes it feels.
Yeah, now a couple hours you can be anywhere.
Yeah.
You don't have to drive 5 hours to San Francisco and then catch a flight and then deal with it coming back. You can just drive up to Arcata and you're out.
Yeah, the connections are legit. Like, but when we were there, you probably noticed this, that the parking lot was crazy full.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of people.
It was slammed. Oh my God. Our flight was full. I can't remember the last time I've seen that airport that busy. I haven't been there in a few years other than that Vegas flight, but it was slammed. I was like, where? Everybody's trying to go to Vegas.
Everybody's getting out there in the world, you know.
They definitely need to expand the parking lot.
They did, and that's what they're doing with that money.
Oh, are they? Oh, yeah, I didn't know
that. I hope the numbers are right. They're going from 375 parking spots to 575, so 200 more. And I mean, like, you're going from 375 and adding 200 more.
That's a decent little jump.
That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot more. You know.
I mean, they have the land up there to do that.
Yeah.
They can spread it out a little more.
Yeah.
Because it was. I mean, we were kind of, you know how it slopes down there. We were kind of towards the bottom.
I like that little microgrid that they have out there. That's pretty cool. Like I think that thing was pretty helpful when PG&E was cutting us off there.
I don't know where does that provide power to?
So I think it has, it's affiliated with the university.
Oh, is it? Okay.
And I don't know if it, I'd have to look at that. But I know that, I think that they were helpful in providing energy, I think, to like Blue Lake. I may be misremembering it. It's all kind of jargled in 2 years ago or whatever, but I think there's something with Blue Lake. No, maybe Blue Lake had their own. I don't know. Either way, it's nice seeing those like little solar microgrids, like wind energy
popping
is
up.
popping up too here, and we're going to start seeing more of that. And I think California is probably going to be, continue to be one of the biggest economies in the world. Isn't it right? Like California is like the fourth biggest economy.
Something
in the
like
world
that.
Or something.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, we're just a state.
I know. We do a lot of commerce.
Yeah.
We just got to keep everything going.
Sustain, man.
Yeah.
We got to keep it going.
Lower some taxes. Lower the fuel prices and let people start creating again, and we'll be okay.
However we do it, man. It's like, let's make sure that everybody can keep living, and keep providing.
Yeah. Okay, man. We could wrap this up. We've almost done 2. I gotta go try to squeeze in another workout. I got a podcast tonight.
Oh my gosh, we've been here forever.
I know. I have to start asking people when they come in. Hey, do you have a time?
Is there a time constraint?
Yeah. Do you need to leave at a certain time? Because
I feel like it was like this last time. It felt like it was like a 15-minute chat, and then
you look and it's like, oh, we've been here. Okay, yeah. You walk into this room and it's a casino, shuts out time.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit, okay.
Oh yeah, Nick.
Awesome. Where can people find you? Humboldt Last Week.
Oh yeah.
Plug all your stuff.
HumboldtLastWeek.com. Everybody, please support the program. Please keep supporting your community. Keep supporting Nick. Thanks so much, man.
Yeah, man. It's been a blast. It's always a blast having you on. We got to do this more for sure.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, man.
Thanks,
guys.
Cheers.